I'm JSer, who is not good at algorithms. I'm making this video to prepare my interview next month. It's a front-end position, so it's not only about algorithm. And about in this video, I'm going to take a look at a question which is often being asked, which is about the this in JavaScript. Well, I have never read about it thoroughly to understand it fully, understand it. Well, let's start. This is a MDN article, so I think it should cover almost every possible case. Well, I have already highlighted the key points. In most cases, this is determined by how a function is called. So this is actually a base property of a function to determine for a function. This is meaningless. For the others, I think this is not meaningful. There are a few other functions which have different behaviors, have different affections on this. Okay, let's continue. What is this? As we said, and this is a property of execution context. Yeah, so it refers to a context, whether it's global, function. In non-strict mode, before we have the strict mode, it's always referenced to an object. And in strict mode, this could be everything. Okay, so the basic context is, of course, window, right? In browser, it is window. For Node.js, it's other global. The outermost one, this is window. You can see this equals window. Yeah, if you want to get the global this, we use global this. This is a relatively new property we can use in latest JavaScript. And then this is the most important part, a function context. Global context and function context. For a function, what is the context of what is the this keyword? Well, if a function like function this is a normal function, if you call like this without binding it to an object, this means the global scope, right? You haven't said anything to this, so window. You know global, yeah, cool. And if you use strict, well, strict means there's no default to the global thing, so it's undefined. Well, I think we all know this. And if there is a call and apply method, I never actually remember which is which, because they actually act the same, but they have different parameters. For call, I think you should think call as a trigger, right? So you pass the parameters one by one like this, call. Apply, you think like the others, like I don't know we should think how to say differentiate these two things. Well, call is trigger, so it accepts parameters one by one. For apply, it accepts all the parameters as array. With a call and apply, the first parameter is to set the this, right? So you see, if we call, okay, we'll open the dev tool. Like for object A custom, for A global, what's this? This.a. So what's this? Of course, window a global.a, which is this one, global. Okay, and object A, call object means when we call this function, this is set to this object. Of course, it will be custom. Apply is the same. Okay. there's a tricky part that if you call or apply, the first parameter will be converted into an object using the internal toObject operation. So if you pass in like a primitive number, it will be converted into object number, string, object string. Well, it does not matter that much. Beside call and apply, there's another bind. Just remember that bind returns a new function, which this is already set it. Right? Like this, for a function like this, if we bind it to a specific object, then this new function is already has a this, so you cannot change it that anymore. Like you log it, it's already, if you bind this function, bind it again, but the this is already there, so you cannot change them. So no matter how many times you bind, it will be the first time you bind it. Okay, now that's an interesting thing. In ES6, I think, there's an arrow function without using the function keyword. A arrow function means the scope will be retaining of the enclosing lexical context. So it will be this will be set when the function is created, not when the function is called. That's the arrow function mean. So if we say, you see, if we create a function like this, if you call it, it will be the global, right? Of course. And if you say, even if you bind this to an object, you call it with normal function, these will be set to this object, but it's arrow, so this of this function is already set, so it's global. Call also global, so it does not change. So no matter what, the full this is set to what it is when it was created in the example above, the global. The same applies to arrow functions created inside another function. This remains that of the enclosing lexical context. So a function, this is an enclosing lexical context. If we create an object like this, and one of these property is a function, and then you said x create a new arrow function. So what it is this? As we said here, this of this arrow function will be the lexical scope, which actually is the scope of this function, right? So it actually is the this of this function. So if you call like this, then for this bar, this refers to object, so you log it, it will be object, of course. But if you get the op function and call it like this, for this function, this is not set at all, so it will be the window, true. Now, let's try to rewrite this. What if we use arrow function here? Object bar. What should it be? So now let's analyze it. So for this function, the scope is determined, right? It is an object, so the scope will be the global. And for this, it will be the closest lexical context, which is this of this outer arrow function. So it's a global window, right? Cool. Now let's take another example. What about this? Well, you see, this is actually a short abbreviation of this function, right? This is not arrow function. So if you do it like this, it will be the object. Yeah, this is just abbreviation. It's not arrow. Well, let's try to rewrite again. If we return not the arrow function, but the function, normal function, what it would be? Well, we return a normal function, right? This is a normal function. So when normal function is called, this there's no object. It is bound. So yeah, it's window. Yeah, cool. The above assigned object returns another function. As a result, function B is permanent. Yeah, remember the closest lexical scope. Okay. When a function is called as a method and object, this is set to it, right? Except for arrow functions, it doesn't follow this way. Cool. There's nothing special. This on an object's prototype chain. Wow. About prototype. Okay, so let's say there's a prototype like this, and then we create an object with this prototype, and then call BF. So what is this? This means current instance. Remember, we find the call of prototype chain means we search a method, we search a property through the prototype chain, but that prototype is just how to say, it's just a prototype is just a collection of properties. So if you call like this, it's still, even if this f is in the prototype, but it's applied to this current instance object, so it's 5. Cool. This refers to the object the method was called on, as if the method was an object. So for these, of course, if we try to rewrite it, we use an arrow function. What happens? As we said, arrow function only the this of arrow function is set when it is created. So for this, it's not chain. When this function is created, the scope would be, what is it? It's window. So this will be, yeah. For window, there's no A, so not a number. Yeah, cool. This will getter with a getter setter. Okay, so for object, if you create a getter like this, this of course means is bounded to this object, right? Cool. As a constructor, when a function is used as a constructor with new, this is bound to the new object being constructed. While the default for constructor is to return an object referred by this, it can instead return some other object. If it is not object, then this is returned. Wow, this is kind of messy. So if you don't return anything, this is returned. Right? The object is returned. If you return an object, that object is used. If you return something that is not object, still the original object you created will be used. Well, nothing special. And another case, as a DOM event listener, DOM event handler, the function is used as an event handler. This is set to the element on which listener is placed. Well, this is straightforward. Where the like Buify is called as an event listener, so this should be the current target. Remember the current target is enough. As an inline event handler, it's the same. Okay, so that's all for this thing. To summarize, this means the scope when the function is called. So there are several cases. This differs. There are several cases how this is handled in JavaScript. One, when function is called as an object property. For that case, the object is used, right? And in another case, this is used in constructor. Then this is set to the new object. That's being created. When this is used as an event listener, when the function is used as an event handler, then this is set to the element where the listener is attached, right? Object method. Oh, it's called object method. Okay. And if it is called without any object, it's just called plainly, then it's default to the window, the global. But with the use strict, it is set to undefined. Okay. And this could be changed with a call, apply, and a bind. So dynamic change this and trigger the function. And there's another new syntax in JavaScript. There is arrow function, which means this cannot be said. It was said when the function is created, no matter when it is called. So even if you bind or call, it doesn't change. So that is the characteristic of arrow function. Cool. So I think that's all, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's all for this video. Hope it helps. See you next time. Bye-bye.